little snippet from Gender Euphoria, a blog post from Alok Vadmenon, genderqueer, non-binary activist, poet, comedian, all-around amazing human, says this. Recently, I've been thinking about how all the narratives out there about trans people, and especially trans feminine people, are defined by the violence we experience. What gets lost here is the joy of being trans. I've been thinking a lot about joy recently. What makes me wake up and look like this when I know people will try their best to bring me down? What makes me keep going even though I don't see an expiration date for being harassed, disregarded, shoved, insulted, laughed at? And what I started to realize, Alok shares, is that the delight I experience when I look at myself and who I am femifesting is unparalleled, ancestral, soul-affirming. The joy of not having to define and live my life by imposed standards and borders. The joy of being able to constantly change, adapt, reinvent, shift, transform. I want so badly for the world to feel entitled to its joy, its pleasure, its delight. This feels like holy text to me right now. Scripture, if you will. You and I are the antidote to these times. Alok is the antidote to these times. This revelation of wholeness, of authenticity, of the courage and daring to be wholly oneself. And I mean wholly in all the ways. To be wholly oneself within the reality of harm, within the reality of attack, of marginalization, of being targeted politically, culturally, religiously, in your neighborhood, on the street for your outfit, like all the ways, right, that trans feminine folks are being targeted, and others, queer and others, right, in this moment, migrants, all the people, right? But to choose within that experience to celebrate joyfully the truth of one's being, to devote oneself to the truth of one's being, which is exactly what I believe trans folks are doing. Alok is an incredible demonstration of, is incredible instruction for the rest of us to do the same. So that's what I want to talk about throughout the month of March in this series that I'm calling Spring into Being. As we move into the springtime, as we are inundated, right, with the horrors of the oligarchy and tyranny, I want you and I to make use, to the very best of our abilities, of this season's magic, of winter's waning and spring's erupting as plants are sprouting and as we see the hope of the blossom to come. I want you and I to grab hold of this magic and make use of it in our own spiritual lives so that you too can be the antidote to these times, right? For yourself and for the holy collective. This is the invitation. This is the invitation of this season. This is the invitation I am offering you right now. And the invitation is to focus your attention on who you are being. Pull yourself back from the urgency, right? This is a strategy to have us all so freaked out and lost in the chaos and the horror that we forget to be who we are, that we become too afraid, right? That we get wrapped up in fighting and reacting And we forget to first be who we are, wholly, unapologetically. Because what I will offer is that your spiritual wholeness, the holy nature of you, is everything you need to meet these times, to meet what your life is asking you to meet the fear, to meet the loss, the grief. Right? People are losing their jobs left and right. We are losing rights left and right. We are losing systems left and right. So how do we meet that? Who are we going to be in it? Right? This is the great question posed in Margaret Wheatley's work, who wrote, "Who do we choose to be?" Right? In the fall of civilization. And so my request of us is that we answer that first and foremost, again and again. Let's act and spring ourselves. Let's move adamantly and intentionally into being. Who are you being? I am not saying that who you are being, or that your spiritual practices, or that your commitment to a spiritual life is going to change the world. That is not the promise, nor is it my hope. It is my knowing that who you are in all of your glory and your absolute divinely designed wholeness, your holy true nature, is the way to an incredibly flipping, fantastic future. I'm calling it the triple F, the flipping fantastic future. The way to that, the way to the thing that we haven't been able to quite see into being yet as a species, is through your wholeness, is through your holy, whole, true nature, is through delighting, as Alok shared with us, delighting in all that you are, all that continues to evolve and change and transform and shift, in delighting in breaking free of the boxes and norms you were handed, and misbeliefs and misunderstandings and mispriority, to delight and have the courage to delight in the face of these horrors. Have the courage to go slow and plug into the truth of who you are. And in your wholeness, understand clearly and unapologetically the gift that you are and what you have to contribute to the vision and the building of the flipping fantastic future that humanity has as a potential still. And you get to be a part of that, consciously, creatively, beautifully, delightfully, joyfully. And it's a huge ask. It's a huge work to choose wholeness, to choose to discover and prioritize your whole, holy, true nature in this moment in history. I am coming back to you on the heels of a magical experience. I took a couple weeks off and traveled and went to the Bacalar Lagoon in Mexico, southeast Mexico, in the Yucatan. And oh my gosh, the humans that I just played with in the most magical of ways, and ceremony and ritual and creativity and dancing and food that was unbelievably gorgeous and orgasmic. And so on the heels of that, I am saying to you, take the time out. Find the things that delight you beyond measure. Find the people that you want to play with. because it is from this space that I am telling you, I now have the capacity to meet the drama of my life, of our life, of this life in a way I didn't before I took that time out. Before I engaged in this beautiful, juicy, delicious, sexy, creative, unbelievably holy time. I believe we need to do more of it, maybe more than we've ever done. This delighting, this Sabbath, this stopping and delighting, which is my favorite translation of the word Sabbath. That we need to do more of telling the truth about who we are and then living that truth unapologetically. Thank you to all my trans beloveds who have led the way for us to do so. This, my friends, is the call. This is the action. Because it's from here. It is from this place of holy being that then the right action can come. Then you'll know what it is you need to contribute, what is yours to do from this place. I know without a doubt it is mine to do, to be so rested, to be so anchored into my delight and my joy and my pleasure and my connection with the humans that I adore. It is mine to do that so then I can do this. Right? And I can do it wholly. I can do it as a devotion to you, to life itself, to us. This is my ask. Make who you are being the priority so that who you are being comes to the party ready, comes to the table equipped and able, resourced, energized. This is what is asked of you and I in this moment in time. Don't put down your joy. Don't put down your delight. Don't put down your rest. The call to arms, the call to battle, the battle cry of this time starts with you whole. I want to come to the party with you wholly, unapologetically, truthfully, honestly, able and ready to do what must be done. One of the ways that you and I can begin to do that is to rest, to Sabbath. And if you've watched my videos before, if you've been with me in classroom or sanctuary, you know that I talk about this a lot. But I will continue to talk about it a lot because everything in our culture, everything in the kind of chaos and fear that is being thrown in our faces and that we are experiencing and confronted with would maybe tell you that you've got to go fast and hard. I'm saying, no, stop, delight, rest, go slow. The other practices we're going to talk about during this series is fasting. Ramadan is just getting underway. Lent and Passover is right in front of us. And every tradition that I know of has some form of fasting. Every tradition from around the world. And here's what I know about fasting. It empties us so that we make space and room in our own being and our own consciousness and our own awareness for the divine to rush in, to fill us up with goodness and love and wisdom. I want to share with you from Proverbs, and it's a translation I found in the World Wisdom Bible. When wisdom embraced, righteousness, justice, and fairness are known. All paths are illumined, and you need fear no detour. When wisdom enters your heart and knowledge your soul, you will perceive the order of the universe and never despair. You will be rescued from your own dark inclinations, and not even the cleverest lies will deceive you. This is Proverbs 2, 9 through 13. Even the cleverest of lies will not deceive you. This, my friends, is the promise of real wisdom, soul's wisdom, the divine within you. This is the wisdom, the intelligence that Alok was talking about, the femifesting, the courage, right, that Alok is speaking to be holy and completely and outside the box of everything we've been taught is possible, right? To not be tricked by the lie of a gender binary. When you and I prioritize our divinity, our spiritual life of being connected, wholly, determinedly in here to the wisdom that is within each one of us, whatever you call it, whether you call that spiritual or God or divine or whatever, it's just what I call it. But in that connection, you cannot be tricked by any lie, the cleverest of lies. And are we not swimming in a sea of lies? Ancient and right now on your screen, in all the directions we turn. You have within you the power of the wisdom of the Holy Blessed One. And when you determine who you are being to be the most important thing in your life, not what you're doing, not what you're achieving, but who you are being. And hopefully you move more and more into the truth of who you are so that you can be more and more wholly, completely all that you have been divinely designed to be. That is what you have to contribute. That is yours to do, first and foremost, before anything else. So join me. Get on the app. If you haven't already, we have a new app that has a guide for this series, which is going to give you detailed practices, journal prompts, ways to be with this. We're going to get into visioning, and maybe we'll use Michael Beckwith's visioning process. Maybe you want to do a vision board or just create a vision statement. But first, let's get into being. Let's spring into being. I love you so much.